Hello, Reject Nation. How you doing? Greg Alba here.
John.
We are going to watch today a patron video request. One of our award tiers on Patreon is whatever video you request, we must definitely put on the YouTubes. And speaking of YouTube, Andrew Hayes has a video request for us today. He loves Watch Mojo, and today he has requested, let's see, top 10 scenes that almost ruined good movies.
Ooh.
I am praying that there's no Shawshank Redemption on here because it's the one movie I've successfully not had spoiled for me all these years.
Not bad. Not bad. Well, hey, that could all change today.
It could all change. Andrew Hayes, you guys should check out this guy's movie review channel. He has a great movie review channel. There's a link in the description box for it, pinned comment as well. Reason why, it's more than the fact that he's a patron. I've actually sat through and listened to a bunch of his reviews. This guy really knows his films. We love doing Google Hangouts with the guy. He is 6'4", despite what he might tell you. He is a tall, buff, beautiful-looking, brown gentleman.
That's 100% accurate.
100%. We don't lie here at the Real Rejects.
Ever about anything.
All right, here we go.
Why did they have to do that? Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 scenes that almost ruined good movies.
Huh.
That was not the only thing that almost ruined that movie.
Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we'll be looking at those scenes which were so bafflingly terrible that they almost ruined an otherwise perfectly fine movie.
This video is just from a couple weeks ago.
Variety of factors, including laughably bad plot decisions, bad special effects, or disappointing character deaths, among others. Number 10. The Mandarin Reveal, Iron Man 3.
Debatable.
Ready for another lesson.
Iron Man 3 may not have been the greatest superhero movie of all time, but it was still solid entertainment. Robert Downey Jr. was his typical charismatic self, the special effects were fantastic, and the Mandarin was menacing, badass, and rather unique. Until he wasn't. The Mandarin, who was arguably Iron Man's greatest enemy, was first portrayed as a terrifyingly psychopathic man, complete with an intimidating voice and a threatening demeanor. And then we find out he's just a goofy, bumbling idiot and a washed-up drunk of an actor.
Yeah?
Don't hurt the face, I'm an actor.
Great scene.
To make matters worse, Killian ends up being the big bad, and he's as cliche as they come.
I am the Mandarin!
Number 9. Bond surfs the tidal wave. Die Another Day.
I don't like this movie in general. Rosamund Pike's in this movie.
Sure that it was this scene alone, which spurred on the producers to reboot the franchise. It's just so awful. Die Another Day was certainly no masterpiece, but it was a fairly enjoyable and can't be wrong. And then there's this scene, which sees Bond surfing a massive tidal wave, which is the result of an orbital satellite shooting solar energy at a bunch of ice. You can hardly say that without laughing.
God, I barely remember this movie. I just remember hating
it. For
it.
2002, the CGI was laughable. A series known for its practical stunt work was now resorting to CGI, and it all but ruined the series.
Oh.
Number 8, CGI-filled Burly Brawl.
Whatever.
Matrix
This is still
Reloaded.
inventive. I will still defend this scene despite how cheesy it looks.
Yeah.
It's still
It's
choreographed
baffling
well.
to us how a movie with such an amazing action scene as the freeway chase can also contain whatever this is. The original Matrix was renowned for its mix of practical and special effects, as it managed to seamlessly blend the two into movie magic. And then there's the Burly Brawl, which looks like it was ripped straight from a bad video game. Hell, we're pretty sure even bad video games look better than this in 2003. The scene has a good premise, but it's totally ruined by the bad CGI, bowling pin sound effects, and obvious stunt doubles. We'll just chalk it up to a glitch in the Matrix.
That's a funny punchline.
Number 7, Fake Baby, American Sniper.
I see you.
What?
Feel you.
Oh, you didn't hear about this?
I didn't even. I saw this in the theaters. I didn't
That
notice a
simple
fake
prop
baby.
could cause so much laughter. During the scene where Chris Kyle holds his baby in the house's nursery, viewers couldn't help but notice that the baby looked particularly fake and ridiculous. The prop baby was so painfully obvious that it immediately took audience members out of the movie.
I never noticed it.
Viewers to gather online to poke fun at the doll and the scene. The fake baby was a huge misstep for such a dramatic and important scene, and it almost turned the war drama into an unintentional comedy. We expect
The whole movie.
Mr. Eastwood.
The whole movie.
Yeah, it's like Ally McBeal with that dancing baby.
Number 6.
Same
thing.
Alright,
Star
I'll
Wars
give you
Episode
guys
3,
this
Revenge
one.
of the Sith.
I couldn't.
Couldn't even get a
She's
practical
alive.
effect Darth Vader.
Revenge of the Sith. You were actually a
weird.
good movie, so why did you have to go and do that? This final installment of the prequel trilogy was easily the best of the three, providing audiences with both thrills and poignancy.
Yes.
It was tragic to see Anakin turn to the dark side, and his burning in the lava was both
I don't know
horrifying
about tragic,
and
but
sad.
okay.
His awakening in the Vader suit should have been iconic, but then his extremely corny yell of anguish ruined the mood, turning this beautifully tragic scene into a farce. We were waiting decades for this moment, and this really tarnished the experience. Number 5, The Goofy Reunion, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. The Return of the King
Screw
is
that.
about as close
I get
to movie
it.
perfection
I
as
love
you
it.
can get. It is epic, sad, touching, and inspiring. And this scene had to throw a big old
What?
monkey wrench into
This
the
should have been,
proceedings
like,
and
number
almost
9.
ruined everything.
I feel like
We
this
get
was
it.
a
The
fan
reunion of the
choice.
Solo
Yeah.
is a touching and beautiful moment, but did it have to be filmed so saccharinely sweet?
Of course.
It was like a 9-hour
Come over
cinematic journey.
And in their world, it's like way
Yeah,
longer
like
than 9
years
hours.
and years and years.
Combination
I
of
don't
the
agree-
red
I don't
and
agree
black
with this,
and the
see?
goofy slow motion just screams corny. Subtlety went out the window, and what we were left with was more cheese than anyone should have.
Subtlety did you
swallow.
want from this?
I don't blame you if you still cried, though. Number 4, Bane's death. The Dark Knight Rises.
We both know that I have to kill you now.
While The Dark Knight Rises may not have lived up to the wild expectations set by its predecessor, it was still a fun journey, in no small part thanks to Tom Hardy's brutal and terrifying performance as Bane. He tests Batman both physically and mentally, and seriously, he's got the most
Gosh.
memorable villain voice since Vader. And then he is given
Since
perhaps the most
Joker.
anticlimactic death in the history of cinema.
You'll just have to imagine the fire.
Okay, maybe not, but it was still bad. Right as Bane is about to shoot Batman, Catwoman enters the scene and blasts the villain away with the Batpod's cannons. What a disappointing way to say goodbye.
I'm not sure I feel as strongly about it as you do.
Number 3, Yellowface. Breakfast at
Yes.
Yup.
I actually watched this movie for the first time not long ago, and every time it comes on, I'm like, this is the only bad part of the movie.
Unfortunately, Hollywood
Yes.
has a long and storied history of using
Supremely
both yellow
awkward.
and blackface in movies and television. Case in point, Breakfast at Tiffany's, which contains one of the most racist characters you'll ever see. Mickey Rooney portrays Iwai Yunioshi, complete with goofy buck teeth, glasses, and a horribly stereotypical Asian accent. Seriously, it is one of the most racist things ever committed to
to watch.
celluloid.
It's just so ridiculous.
We suppose that it was a different time in Hollywood, but watching it today, the character is a painfully damaging blemish on an otherwise fantastic piece of film.
You cannot go on there and keep ringing my bell! You disturb me!
Number 2, Rewinding Time, Superman. While Superman may feel somewhat dated today, it is nevertheless a classic.
Somewhat.
The first great superhero. That said, the famous, or perhaps infamous, scene in which Superman turns back time seriously hurts the film. While it may look impressive, it feels both lazy and confusing. Is it just a visual cue for the audience? Or is Superman literally spinning the Earth backwards? If he is, how exactly does that turn back time? It makes no sense. Yes, we understand that this is a movie about a flying humanoid alien, but it still needs to adhere to the rules of our planet.
Hi. Don't bother, I think it's dead.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few dishonorable mentions.
Wow, I forgot this.
No, completely disagree with that. I really like that scene. I don't care what anyone says.
Number 1, Pinbacker, Sunshine.
Aww.
How do you ruin your ambitious
The
movie
whole act
about
of a
group
movie.
astronauts reigniting the
Stephen
dying
Young's
sun?
in this movie?
Of course.
No,
You turn
that's
it
the guy
into a
from Last
derivative
Samurai.
slasher movie.
Oh, my bad.
Sunshine was brilliantly
That makes
directed
me
by
look
Danny
racist.
Boyle. For 75% of its runtime, it is a great and ambitious science fiction experience.
Oh, okay,
And
yeah,
then
that
the crew
guy.
discovers Pinbacker, a horrifically burned and disfigured psychopath, and the movie heel turns into horror territory as he stalks and kills the crew.
I'll give it that, sure.
It doesn't
but
completely ruin the movie,
I don't know
as
about
it's
the
still good genre
scene.
fun, but it comes pretty damn close.
What your God?
Spoilers!
Check out these other great clips from Watch Mojo and subscribe for new videos every day.
That's a fairly good list. I'd say it's a fairly good list. Let's talk about some of these, John.
You know.
Some of these I'm like, I don't know if these qualify as like a scene, you know?
Yeah, I was like, this is a whole context
yeah, like
of the second half of this
like
movie.
the Bane part is a scene, you know?
Is a moment, yeah.
But the Mandarin reveal in Iron Man 3, that's a plot line. yeah.
Yeah, it's not the scene where they reveal him. It's the fact that they reveal that he's this actor guy that you're taking umbrage with.
I could argue with this being on the list more than their number one pick. They arguably only focus on it for one scene. And that scene was so controversial. And I think when you take some space away from it, there are viewers like myself appreciate that choice. John was with me at the time we saw this for the first time. And I hated that. It was up on a second viewing like a year later. I'm like, you know, it's pretty clever.
I actually liked that moment from the first time I saw it.
I remember.
Partly because I just was not expecting it, and for, you know, the third Iron Man movie, I was like, oh, cool, like a big surprise. But that was also one of those things that I could never begrudge somebody being mad about it.
Die Another Day, I think, has way more flaws than this scene. Granted, I can't remember most of the movie.
Stricken a lot of that from the record.
I just remember, like, even the first 10 minutes being annoying as hell. But looking back at this Bond Surf's tidal wave scene, wow, does that look awful.
Yeah,
that
CGI ice cubes.
Really awful. I thought it was this whole movie in total that caused this movie to be rebooted. I don't think it was one scene that made you go, I don't know about the third.
That ice, we gotta start all over again. We've gone off board.
The big fight with Neo versus all the Agent Smiths. That's like a almost impossible thing to try and pull off. Even nowadays, I feel like that'd be hard. They could definitely make it look better now. But for 2003, to try to get multiple Agent Smiths and throw in all the crazy Matrix flying stunt work, they still had actors in there, though. It wasn't like they just computer animated it. If you do the behind the scenes, there were still people doing the fights. There were still people in motion capture and everything. It's just the added digital effects are not the greatest, you know?
Yeah, back in 2003 when I first saw this, you know, I think I remember being like, I can tell this is CG, but I got it at the time. Like, it didn't ruin the movie for me at the time.
And both times when I watched it in the theaters, people were clapping throughout this fight and cheering throughout the fight. It was still cool for its time, so I don't know.
Because, like you pointed out, it's still like an interestingly choreographed fight.
Yeah, it's a cool idea of a fight, too, you know, like multiple Hugo Weaving saying.
And I think a lot of us were willing to overlook the effects for that scene.
American Sniper with a fake baby, I never noticed it and didn't pull me out of the movie.
Are there any more scenes than just this one? I haven't actually seen American Sniper, so this scene I didn't think it was as bad, but I thought there was like an actual like birth room scene or something.
Nah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they would have showed that because like even looking here at the baby, I'm like, if I wasn't really paying attention to it, I wouldn't have noticed. Because I was very much paying attention when they were showing this clip, and when I was looking at it, I wasn't thinking that looks 100%. I mean, I can tell now.
Baby.
Yeah, it's a stiff baby.
The baby's not moving like real babies, but you know, it's only a couple shots.
I don't think it goes as far to turn this movie to an almost unintentional comedy, though.
I think the Henry Cavill mustache is worse than the fake baby. I disagree with number 5.
The Goofy reunion in Return of the King. Yeah, it's goofy. It's cheesy. Who cares? At this point, let them have it. It's for us.
It's such a contrast to the rest of this entire journey that every time I've seen it, I'm just like, they're overjoyed to be together again.
They just overtook all of darkness.
They spent a good chunk of each of their lives nearly dying and going through terrible experiences, you know, to save the realm.
And a lot of them have been separate from each other.
Yes.
So now they get to reunite.
So not only is it like, I get to see you again, but it's like, oh, you're alive!
I think the actors could have all done the same stuff. Yeah. It might be because of the lighting. And
it is very, like,
it's
bright
very
and soft
much like Frodo's
and...
woken up in heaven.
yeah, for sure. And everyone's wearing, like, white.
Bane's death in The Dark Knight Rises. Let's face it, people. There's a million more reasons of how this movie could have disappointed you beyond Bane's death. You know, I mean, that's a big nail in the coffin for a lot of people. That's a crappy death. It was a very awful death. I don't like henchman death for Bane.
No.
Say that
it ruined this movie. Almost ruined.
People got a lot more criticisms about this movie than just that.
If that was the only issue with TDKR, then I don't think we would have this conversation. Although, Breakfast at Tiffany's, man.
Breakfast at Tiffany's was a film I greatly, heavily enjoyed. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I saw it a couple years ago as well.
I loved it. It's one of those oldies films that was super easy to sit back and really enjoy. It's got a weird romantic tale about it.
Yeah.
But was it Mickey Rooney?
Mickey Rooney.
Oh,
Mickey
gosh.
Rourke.
It's so apparent that it's not a real Japanese guy, too.
Yeah. Part of me wishes I could like plug into somebody from the era's head to see how they would have perceived it. Because like the first time I saw this and every time I've seen these scenes since, it's so awkward.
My first memory of this scene is from Dragon the Bruce Lee story, when Bruce Lee and Linda Lee are in the theaters and they're watching this movie.
Oh, wow.
And they have to leave because he's just so offended by it. I didn't understand why, because when I was a little kid, I thought it was a real Japanese guy.
What? It's great. They're breaking into the industry.
And then when I watch this movie, I'm going, it makes sense why Bruce Lee. I don't even know if that's a real thing that Bruce Lee did.
Yeah. Hey, man, Bruce Lee standing up for what's right.
It's not even funny, like, in the slightest, though. That's the thing. It's lazy. There's a lot of funny stuff in that movie, but even that is not witty whatsoever. It's terrible.
It's so cringe, and then you're just like, did you just want to cast Mickey Rooney? Like, he
Yeah,
could
I
have
don't
been
know.
anybody.
Superman Rewinding Back Time has been that's like the main criticism this movie gets. I think that's actually a really good thing to put on this list. I think this should be number one, if anything, because this is a classic movie, and there's one specific thing that happens that everyone criticizes
thinks is cheesy
and doesn't make sense either. Spinning the earth the other way, exactly reverse time.
Yeah, you would.
I don't know.
Likely,
We've never reverse times.
you would more likely just screw up, the animals' life cycles and seasons and whatnot.
As far as these dishonorable mentions, I don't have a problem with the King Kong skating around scene. I actually don't have a problem at all. Have you seen Deathly Hallows Part 1?
No, I gotta see the 6, 7, and 7 twos for Harry Potter.
The only redeeming thing about that is that you've read the books.
All the books. Hey,
The
I
only
did
redeeming
the shit
thing.
that matters.
But I like this dance moment in it. It's kind of like melancholy. I don't think it's weird. I enjoy it. The sunshine thing, I like what you said. It's a whole act of a
act
movie.
3.
That's for a different list.
Yeah.
This is not a scene, because I'm part of the audience that goes, yeah, I don't like this part of it. They say it here that it's captured well. It's captured like a Ridley Scott, like, intense alien film. I know it's done by Danny Boyle. I think this is the element of the film that causes me to not love the movie. I know you love the movie, though.
Yeah, I do like this movie a lot. And I get, this is one of those ones that people bring up a lot when it comes to Sunshine, and I get why it's jarring and why people don't like it. It is a bit jarring, but I still enjoy that sequence, and I still think that there's something to that sequence, even though it is such a left turn into something altogether different than, the reality we've established for the rest of the movie.
That's a fair point, Jay. Yeah. Overall, it's a good list. I like that this list is shorter than the other Watch Mojo list we watched, like a 15-minute video.
Yeah.
So that was enjoyable. That was really enjoyable. Anyway, Andrew, thank you so much for recommending that.
Thanks, dog.
You guys can subscribe to WatchMojo.com. You can subscribe to the Reject Nation. Click that notification bell to get notified when our video does that. And check us out on Patreon. Full-length TV show reactions, weekly Q&As, a lot of other good posts. And early access to a lot of our uploads. Would love to have you join us.